project, and I have my little helper here. It's his project and he's very happy. I was having a rummage through my silicone mold storage box and I came across this rune mold. I've never actually used this before, so I thought, well, let's see what we can do with this. And I do spend some time, you know, looking through Amazon to see what materials are new, and I came across the sticker of the Raven with the blackberries and everything. I thought, ooh, that looks nice. And the reason that I decided to put him in here and call it the Rune Raven was because in his claw he's holding, it looks like a pebble and it looks to me like a rune. So these two items just sort of came together naturally, and I thought, yeah, let's do a Rune Raven. I also decided to use these colours because the two purples, one is dark magenta and one is purple. They seem to match very well, these alcohol inks, with the colours in the sticker. And I will mention in another part of this video problems that I've had where maybe, you know, to make your life easier, you could do your runes in solid colours. Yeah, and save yourself a lot of headache. I will explain. So get your runes done, and I'm just plopping these in out how. Totally random. Another reason that I like this mould, I like the size of the runes, and I also like the depth of them too. They're nice and chunky. But something else that's really good about them, the runes themselves, they're very deep. They're nicely inscribed, and that's important for this next part. Which just involves painting on the acrylic and the mica. And the reason that I used both, the acrylic is kind of runny, and to do this I think you need more of a paste-like consistency, so that's why I chose to put the mica in as well. And as I say, just mix it up, make it more of a paste-like consistency. Also, if you have a runny acrylic, it's a lot harder to get the acrylic to dry, whereas if you make it more paste-like, because it's thicker, you're taking out more moisture by adding the acrylic, it dries quicker. If you don't care about that, then use a runnier one, but I like this more pasty consistency. And I just take a paintbrush and slap it in the grooves. I painted all my runes because I wasn't sure which ones I would use. And I only gave them one coat. And then when they'd been cleaned off and dried, I gave them a coat of Krylon acrylic spray just to protect the paint. All the things I use will be listed in the description, so you can find all my materials there. Yeah, I took out a few bits of the foil because I thought, yeah, it's maybe a little bit too much. Listen to the voices in your head. So smush it up in the cup and then add the resin to the foil. I find that's the best way. And you only really need a thin coat of this. Mix it around, make sure it goes up to the edges. Yeah, and I had a big old blob of foil in there, so I got that chappy out. I added 1 drop of dark magenta to the same cup that I just poured the glitter and the resin out of. Gave it a good old stir. Now, I don't know why I did all this elaborate stuff, because you slap a sticker on the front, you're not going to see all this artsy fartsy stuff. But my only reason for maybe doing this was I have a project in mind for something in the future where I'm going to do this, you know, where you pour it in the little circles, then you get a tool of some kind and you make a little flower. And I was having fun. I was like, oh, that looks pretty. This is going to be such a nice effect. This project's going to look so pretty. And then somewhere along the line I thought, oh, well, I'm not actually doing that project, so why am I doing all this? Anyway, you don't need to do this because it doesn't matter. So yeah. Pour in your gold glitter and clear resin. Skip this bit and just go straight to pouring in this. Honestly, sometimes my mind just wanders off all on its own and I have no control. Have you ever been there? I'm afraid that happens to me quite a lot. So yeah, just use a little bit of heat gun, go around the edges, mix it up a little bit with the gold and the clear. And again, you don't really need to do this, but my idea was if I put this on and do some swirlies in it, maybe this dark magenta will really blend with the colours I've already got there and it will stay on the outside. But no, it didn't. As it cured, the dark colour shrank into the middle, so I didn't really need to do this either. But hey ho, live and learn. I was having fun, so I got enjoyment out of this. That's my excuse. Yeah, if it had stayed near the edges, it would have been better. You would have seen like more of a galaxy effect, but wasn't to be. So moving on. Yeah, and you can see when it dried, all the dark magenta went into the center. Unmolding. Okay, so what you're looking at now is the back of the medallion. And with so many projects that I do, I often end up liking the back rather than the front. So yeah, this is where I stuck my sticker. That's the side I chose. Also, we're going to dome the medallion, and this also helps you dome it because it creates the resin creates like a lip around the outside. So yeah, yes, cleaning the runes. Ugh, that was a chore. I realised when I was peeling the sticker off that it had this white edging around it. I don't want that. So I decided that, yeah, I think it looked better without that. So I chopped off the white edging. I just went as close to the purple as possible. Yeah, and don't cut over your resin project because you'll get little bits of paper. So yeah, another tip, things to not do. To make the positioning of your sticker a little bit easier so that you can control it more and put it where you want it, I cut off the top half of my sticker and smoothed it out, trying to get all the air out so that it makes, you know, good contact with the resin. And when you dome it, you don't get any sneaky resin going underneath the sticker. So I spent quite a bit of time, you know, pushing this down and smoothing it out. So yeah, spend a little bit of time smoothing it. Go from the middle like this to the edges. That way you will get rid of most of, if not all, the bubbles. You'll get a better sticking to the resin. And if you run your hand over it like that, you can feel if there's any bubbles, and you can just prick those with a pin gently. I love doming things. I don't know what it is about doming, but when you put this resin on and it dries, it's so shiny and it really brings out the color of things, especially when you use mica powders. When you dome something with mica powders, it almost brings the colors back to life. And when you put clear resin on something, it almost has like a magnifying effect too. So yeah, I like doming things. I think it really finishes a project. It also protects the sticker too. I could not for the life of me find small feathers, small enough for this project anyway. So I went on good old YouTube and I had a look at a few sites where they do millinery. You know, where they make fancy hats and things. And I found quite a few good videos to watch where you can change feathers, change the shapes of them, change the size of them. And this was perfect because I could not find small black feathers. So I made my own. If you do this, make sure your scissors are very sharp and always cut from the tip end down to the quill, you know, the bit that comes out of the actual bird. I tried cutting them in the other direction, and because of the way that feathers are made, for want of a better word, they have a grain in them. That's how I think about it. They have a sort of grain in them and they go away from the scissors. So if you cut in this direction from the top to the sort of quill end of the feather, you'll be able to cut any shapes you want. And I just roughly cut about 12 feathers, and then as I went I cut them down a bit more and a bit more to keep it in proportion to the size of the runes and the project I was doing. So this might be a useful tip when you can't find small feathers. So I cut a 4 or 5 inch feather down to this, and it works. So yeah, this is what I did with my feathers. I liked 3 feathers instead of 2. I thought it just looked nicer with 3 feathers. And in the end, when you see the photo of the finished project, you'll see that on these 3 feathers that I put together, I don't actually use the beads. I cut them off, and the reason for that was because when you put the feathers on the string and you put the string behind the medallion, the beads make the feathers poke out and it just looks awkward, not natural. I wanted them to be more mobile, to look more natural. So I took the beads off, cut the beads off, and put my string directly on the feather. I used UV resin, and they look more natural. So I do like using this 3-in-1 glue. As I say, it's a little bit stringy, but once it sets, it's pretty good glue. I use it for a lot of things. And it doesn't stink. So yeah, I made 2 of these. The reason I put the glue on the back was just to sort of reinforce sticking them together, making them more of a piece, you know, one thing. I thought, yeah, well, can't do any harm. Make it more secure. With the little metal skulls, I decided to put a rhinestone on, and these are very pale, almost like a lavender coloured rhinestone, and in the end I only used 2 of the skulls. But I thought putting rhinestones on would sort of, you know, blend in the whole project a bit more, and it's just something else decorative to put on the project. When I use rhinestones, I try to only use ones that are described as glass or crystal. I never use acrylic or resin because they don't have any soul. They have no sparkle. They're just flat dead. I like my sparkles. So always try to use the sparkly version. Avoid the resin and the acrylic. The idea for the runes was to put them on strings. Now, I did mention about the runes earlier. I made my runes to match the medallion, so therefore I used the alcohol inks, and they are transparent. You can see through them, and you can see, looking at the purple ones, not the black ones because you can't really see through those, you can see the thread I'm using, and I didn't want that, so I thought, what can I do? Light bulb moment, put something on the on each end of the rune that you can stuff the thread in. Well, I'll tell you now. Skip this, make your runes non-see-throughable. In other words, use a resin that is not transparent and go for solid colours, because then you can just attach your strings without worrying about them showing through, because they won't, they'll be solid colour. But if you want to give yourself a headache and fill up the swear box and need therapy after this, then by all means torture yourself. Do it this way. I'm just saying. Go for runes that you can't see through. Yeah, that didn't occur to me until I was at this point in the project thinking, oh no, what do I do now? So yeah, I put myself through all this stress for you guys. You know, I did it so you didn't have to, but my words of advice: use solid colours. Oh yeah, and another finishing touch, put a little bit of gold paint around the edge of your medallion.